Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 8. Module 8 is the halfway point for this semester. We have 16 modules, so we're right in the middle. A couple of things that we'll be doing in this module. First of all, you'll have your midpoint reflection. And then the other thing is that you can get extra credit in this module if you email me to tell me that you have been watching these videos. These videos are really important, not only to help you out, but to help me out. Making sure that we keep the class organized and making sure that everything gets opened up on time, but also to make sure that you are getting the information that you need in order to be successful on these assignments. So if you email me to let me know that you've watched this video, I will add extra credit to your Module 8 assignments. We're taking a look here at Module 8. Like I said, there's only 2 assignments, the main one being the annotated bibliography. So if you remember back in Module 7, you submitted a research paper topic proposal. And so that research paper topic proposal, you'll want to go back and look and see what feedback I have left for you. Almost always students have chosen a topic that will work just fine. Sometimes I suggest an alteration of some kind, either expanding your topic just a little or narrowing it just a little to make it easier to work with. But otherwise, you want to look back and see what kind of feedback I have left you, and then you're going to start working on finding sources. So the research paper is basically 2 parts. The first part is doing an annotated bibliography, and then the second part is writing the paper itself. The paper itself will take us several modules, and we won't start working on that until Module 9. So in Module 8, your task is to complete the annotated bibliography. It's only 1 assignment, but it will take you a while. So I encourage you to start right away. A couple of things here. The criteria sheet is right here, and this gives you an overview of what you're doing. An annotated bibliography is not an essay, although you'll see point-wise it's worth the same as an essay. Because it does take a while to complete. There's a lot of writing involved, but it's not the same as an essay. So if you think of it as an essay, then you're just going to confuse yourself. It's not the same as an essay because it is not, there are no body paragraphs, no conclusion. It's not a cohesive essay. It's an introduction paragraph that gives us a brief overview of your topic, and then 12 sources underneath. Each source has 1 paragraph explaining what it's about and whether or not it's credible or useful. So it's basically a works cited page with paragraphs in it. So it's 12 sources, each with 1 paragraph, only about that source. There's no synthesis of sources, so there's no combination of ideas. You are not making an argument with these sources. All you're doing is saying, this is what the source is about, and then this is what I thought of the source. It makes it's not hard to write, but it is a little boring and fairly repetitive. So just kind of keep that in mind. It might take you a little bit longer to get through. It's not hard, but it's going to take a little while because you have to get through all of these sources before you can write those paragraphs. So some students get a little frustrated with that. So there are a couple of things to think about. First of all, you want to make sure that you're using obviously the same topic that you submitted for the topic proposal. If you change your topic, you do need to email me. The only restrictions on sources is that you're going to have to demonstrate 4 different types. And so you could have all electronic sources, that's fine. But you might have, a video, a blog, a web article, and then a bunch of websites or something. So different things count as different types of sources. I do encourage you to think about print sources as well, physical books, going to your library. But if you are, depending on your topic, you may be limited to only electronic sources because it needs to be more current. There's a lot of variety that you can use. If you're struggling with the different types of sources, you can always send me an email. I can tell you whether or not you're demonstrating those 4 different types in what you have selected so far. You might also consider things like personal interviews. If you know someone who is an expert in the topic in some way, you could use them as a personal interview source, but there are quite a few things that you can do just to get a variety. The idea with this assignment is that you are going to have an exhaustive search for information. You have 12 sources. That's a lot of information. When you get to writing the research paper, which we haven't even started yet, then you can narrow that down. So you only need, I think, 8 sources for the research paper. So the idea is that you may have a few sources that either are essentially repeating other sources, or they're just not that great. And so you'll have some that you will not use when you get to the research paper. But we just want sources for right now. We just want information. How many sources can you find, right? But I only want 12 in the bibliography. You are also not... you can find more sources when you start writing the paper. So don't feel like you have to have everything that you'll need to write the paper now, because that can be a little bit limiting. It's okay if you end up sitting down to write the paper and realizing that you need a different kind of source, and that's fine. But for right now, we're just trying to find excessive information so that we can narrow down and focus as we go. The paragraph that you write for each source will have summary of the content and then explaining the credibility and usefulness in 5 to 8 sentences. That's all I want. I do not want you to do excess work for this assignment. Okay, 12 sources only, 5 to 8 sentences for each one. Go ahead and count. I don't want you going above and beyond on this one as far as length is concerned, because the purpose of this assignment is to get you reading the source, understanding like the main idea of the source, and then really evaluating whether or not that source is useful or credible. And so we're talking about all the terminology that we've used before. We've looked at in the last module, the currency, authority, that kind of thing, the CRAP test, you can use that. So all of those terms. There's an example on page 449, Rules for Writers. If you need something to look at, you will not have a works cited page for this assignment because that would be redundant. All of the works cited entries are in the document. So again, not an essay. It's more like a writing assignment, but it is a little bit more time consuming. So I've got a bunch of information in here for you. I've got database sources. I've got a link to the databases here. This is a really good resource for you if you've never used the Allen Library databases. All you have to do is, this is a topic I'm using for another class, search for your topic using that discovery search. It will give you everything in the library that they have about that topic. And then you can also limit to full text online, which means that you are only seeing sources that you have access to the text. If you don't live near a library or this library, then that's helpful because you can access the full text of these articles. And it makes it a little bit easier. The other advantage, of course, is that the cite button is there. And so if you're using database sources, you can just click on that and go down to MLA 9th edition style and just copy and paste it. Makes it a little bit easier to cite your sources. We have a lot of sources through the Allen Library. Obviously, all these databases, you can search individual databases. You can also look at the library itself. And so I have a link here to the Allen Library website, and they have the library catalog. If you're interested in an actual physical book, you can look through that. They have their ebook collection, which is another great resource. If you don't have time to go to a physical library and get a physical book, you can use an ebook. There's a lot of, and then the librarian's contact information is here as well. So if you have questions about something, or if you are struggling to find information about something, definitely send her an email. She's really good at finding stuff. So then this is the spot where you turn in the annotated bibliography. It's graded like an essay because we have a rubric. However, I will say that I don't place as much emphasis on the grammar and the writing and the content based. I'm mainly looking at, if you follow the directions, do you have a summary and evaluation of each source? Is it coherent? And, did you do the documentation right? That kind of thing. Do you have the right number of sources? That kind of thing. I don't grade it as hard as I grade essays. And then the last thing in the module is the midpoint reflection. And this is just your halfway point reflection on the semester. I'm not looking for anything excessive, but I do want you to answer the questions and just give me some feedback. This is kind of your chance to assess what you've done so far, whether you're meeting your goals for the class, what you need to change for the rest of the semester, that kind of thing. So halfway point, hopefully you're doing okay. If you need anything, send me an email. Otherwise, have